Welcome to my beginner's guide to the Galactic Civil War static PvP bases. The static Galactic Civil War bases was introduced into Star Wars Galaxies in Chapter 2. Following the battle in Restis, the lore behind these bases were that both Imperial and Rebel forces have intensified their efforts to oppose one another. Both sides have identified what they believe are strategic locations that are important to their objectives.
Can you just shut up and get to the point already?
If you are anywhere as dumb as me in figuring out those new damn terminals and how they work, then you've come to the right place. The new capture point terminals are no longer time-based, but a puzzle to solve. And I'll admit,
I'm not a smart man.
it took me way too long to figure out how this puzzle works. And honestly, I don't think the descriptive guide when you first open the terminal is much of any help. So for the longest time, I resorted to just spam clicking. But I'm here to change all that. If you want to know how to solve the DNA puzzle thingamajig at these bases, then continue watching. So once you have access to the terminal, the two things you want to look at is the control sequence and the sample chain. The suitable pairs will always be the same no matter which terminal you're at. It's going to be AT, TA, GC, and CG. At the bottom, you'll see the list, which is your control sequence. It'll be in the same order as the one that is given to you up top. As you go through that control sequence, you'll want to connect it with the sample chain. The sample chain will be a random assortment of 8 letters. Every time the new DNA sequence is taken, you'll get a new sample chain. In this example, you can see that my control sequence starts with AG, TA, CA, TA, CA, etc. And my sample chain is TA, TG, CT, GG. Since the first letter of my sample chain is a T, it'll go with an A in my control sequence. So I can connect it with the first letter of my control sequence, which will pair it up. Now that the sample chain has renewed itself after you've managed to pair the first one, you'll see that the sample chain has randomized again and is now with a CA, CG, TC, TA. Again, following the same logic, we'll start with the letter C in the sample chain and connect it to a G. As you go down the list in your control sequence, it'll try and pair up with the ones that follow after. So, say for example, the G will pair up with the C, the T will pair up with the A, and the A following after won't pair with anything. The C, however, will pair up with the G, and so on and so forth. That's how you manage to get multiple pairs in one click. As you progress, less number of pairs will be available. Ideally, you would want to get anywhere from 2 to 3 pairs at a time to ensure that you get through this fast. Once you've progressed through the list, you'll find yourself to have fewer and fewer pairs to pair up with, and you will end up with generally 1 pair at a time. A tip that I give is to save the bottom letters of the control sequence for the last, as they are the easiest to pair up. The hardest ones would be the first 8 letters of the control sequence, as they are highly dependent on you getting a good roll on a letter which is suitable to pair with. If you need letters in the middle of the sample chain to pair up with a specific letter in the control sequence, count the number of letters and select the appropriate row for it to get paired. And that's how simple this puzzle is in reality. But my god, my brain just could not translate that from the description. Also, did you know that there is a collection at the static bases called Recover Data? There are 3 clickable items, one at each base, which you can only get if the opposing faction owns it. Each item is found at the bottom of the bunkers near the logistics officer NPC. You cannot get credit if your faction already owns the area, and only one person can get this item every hour. Once you have collected each item 20 times, you will be rewarded with a small amount of XP and GCW. There is unfortunately no title associated with this collection, which is something that I consider would have been a better reward. If you've made it this far, I thank you for watching all the way through, and I hope I managed to help you, as I struggle a lot with this. When I was spamming it, I either got lucky and went through the list with no problemo, or I got unlucky and I was stuck with 2 white letters for many minutes, venting my frustration on Discord on how dumb this shit is. But now that I know how to solve it, it's not such a big burden anymore, and I find actually going to the bases a little bit less cumbersome. If you like this guide, let me know down in the comment section. I got a few more ideas cooking on what I want to talk about, and if you have any suggestions, please let me know. And with that, I would like to say thank you and see you in the next video. Koya Chie, my friends.